Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz. I'm so excited to be joining Trinity Stamps today for their holiday release and YouTube hop. Here's the card that we're going to make today, and it is Santa on a beach. We got a little pop-up. It's super fun. I love this one. So we're using this stamp set. It's Hau'oli Lanui. I hope I said that right. I practiced. And then we're also using these two die sets. On the right, we have Emergency Card Essentials #1. And on the left, Emergency Card Essentials #2. If you've been around my channel, you know I've been making emergency card kits for 2 years now. And those die sets coordinate beautifully and help you make lots of easy card sketches. I designed them for Trinity Stamps, and we get to use them today. The dies make for quick and easy cards with pattern paper, but I'm going to kind of make my own pattern paper here because I can. I thought it was fun. This is the Skinny Stripes background stamp, and I stamped it twice in some red ink just to give myself this like peppermint stripe to go with our Santa. And then this is the sprinkled stencil, and it's supposed to create a border. It's one stencil that has 4 layers. You can kind of tell on the stencil. I'm not using it like that. I am going to rotate this and create a sort of confetti background that's going to sort of look like water for our Santa at the beach. So I stenciled first with just the teal ink that was left over on my brush. Then I rotated it. I have marked it in one corner so you can kind of tell when I rotate. Then I will re-ink my brush and get a darker set of dots on this next one. I cleaned the teal off my stencil, and then I'm coming back in with some white shimmer ink from Delicata. It's sort of translucent, and I'm just going all over through here. It's going to add beautiful, beautiful shine, but it's kind of subtle. It's not as bright as like a white pigment ink. So on this last layer, we will use white pigment ink, and it's like we have a light blue, darker blue, a light white, a darker white. I'm going to pick this up for you and try to show you the shine that you get. It just catches the light and shimmers a little bit, and I love that. With our panels done, I'm going to grab a die from set #1. It's this one that cuts a rectangle and then cuts a diagonal line through the middle. And I've cut both of our panels that way. I also cut this A2 panel. I love that the die gives us this modern embossed detail, this beautiful edge on it. A lot of the rectangle and circle dies in those sets are going to leave that kind of detail. So I am lining these up on my panel and trying to center them so I have an equal margin on all of the sides. And then I'll temporarily tape the top one down so that I'm not guessing when I go to put this blue panel back down. Then once that one's on there, I'll just remove that tape and I can glue my top panel down as well. Again, pattern paper works beautifully for this, right? You don't have to make your own. I just thought this was a lot of fun. Here is the largest circle from set #1, and then I'm going to pull in a larger circle still. So the red one is 3 1/4. I could have used the 2 largest circles in my die set, but my stamps are kind of big, and so I felt like they fit better if I added a circle in here. I'm going to arrange them, and they're going to overlap a little bit. So once I kind of figure out how I want them to overlap, I'm going to glue Santa just onto the edge of my beach so that I can treat that as a single piece. I have added extra cardstock behind these 2 pieces. Don't ask me why. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but it means that my Santa is raised up quite a bit, and he looks a little wonky unless I do something to even that out. So I added some 1mm thin foam tape behind him. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add him onto my card. I didn't add my circle until I had my pieces arranged on there because that tree I knew was going to peek up over the top of it, and I wanted to make sure everything was going to fit and not be hanging off the edge of my card. We're going to white heat emboss a sentiment for the front of our card. It's Mele Kaliki Maka. So the name of the stamp set means Happy Holidays, and then this one means Merry Christmas. I just stamped that in some Versamark ink, and then I'll add a little bit of white embossing powder. This is a really fine detail stamp. So if you have a fine detail white, which just means that like the grains of embossing powder are smaller, you'll get a really great impression, an embossed image on this one. I also have an ornament from Emergency Card Essentials number 2, and I am stamping Aloha on the edge of my ornament, and I will white heat emboss that one as well. Since I already had all of those supplies out, I figured I would do them at the same time. The ornament is going to end up on the inside of my card. So I'm going to go ahead and stack up my sentiment. I have 2 layers of red cardstock and then my teal cardstock, and the red is going to act as a drop shadow. I'm going to have it just slightly down and to the right, and I'll add a little foam tape behind that to make sure that everything is level. But while I'm doing that, I want to let you know about the giveaway. If you click more or show more beneath the video, it will unpack the description box for you. There you'll find all of my supplies, including links to my new die sets and details on how to enter to win the giveaway. You can win a $25 gift card to the Trinity Stamps shop that you might use to buy some new holiday supplies or a new die set. So I'm adding a little glue behind my foam tape just to give me a little bit of wiggle room, and I'm using my tweezers to make sure that it looks like the sentiment is straight before I press that down. But that will finish the front panel, and you could totally stop there. But if there's a pop-up in the die set, I'm gonna use it. So the hexagons in the ornament all come from set number 2. And I'm gonna layer up my hexagons. The first is out of some white glitter cardstock, and then I have matching teal cardstock from the front of the card. I'm gonna put my ornament in the center. I was thinking at first I was gonna add a silver star. There's a bunch of stars in that set, but my Aloha comes up a little too high to use that particular star, so we'll leave it off. This is what's gonna pop up in the middle of our card. So for now, we'll set it aside. Here's the pop-up mechanism. There are 3 score lines. You're gonna fold them all as mountain folds and then tuck A and D back behind the triangle. You're going to glue it so that the score line of the pop-up lines up with the score line in the center of the card. So here's my pop-up. I'm folding all of my score lines. I'm being careful, right? You want this to fold into a tidy little triangle. I'm going to label mine A, skip B, label C and D. So I'm folding A and D back behind the triangle. I'm going to get my card ready, and I'm going to add glue onto A and D. Okay, that's it. Then I will grab this from the flat part, center flat part, with my right hand, because I'm right-handed, and I'm going to line that up in the center of my card so the 2 score lines match, and I'm leaving just the tiniest little sliver at the top of the card. While the glue is wet, I'm going to fold it shut. If the pop-up is moving, it's because it's not centered. So I didn't have any buckling or any moving. I got real lucky this time. And then I'm going to gently open it back up. If it folds well and then it opens up well, then I'll come in with my bone folder and I will just flatten those down and make sure that everything is as smooth as possible. Okay, so I'm opening and closing a whole bunch. The glue has really grabbed on now. We're ready to add our hexagon. I am adding glue only to C. Okay, do not put any glue on the other side of that score line. Then my hexagon fits perfectly in that mechanism, and I'm lining it up right on the edges. Don't let it overhang those edges. So when I go to fold this closed, that edge right there, it's gonna fold there. So if you have your hexagon too low, it's gonna pop off or it's gonna bend, and we don't want that. But mine is perfect. It hides totally inside the card, and I can go ahead and add my panel onto the front of my card, and we're almost done. So I think it's really important to note that I always do the front panel separate from the pop-up, because if something goes wrong installing the pop-up, I don't want to damage the front panel of my card. So I complete them separately and then I glue them together. I'm going to add an extra sentiment on the inside. This little scallop rectangle is in set number 1, and it perfectly fits our emergency card kit rectangle sentiments. This one here. There is a kit that is exclusive to that die set. There's a QR code on the back of the packaging that will take you to a little welcome video from me, and then linked at the very top of that video is this printable kit. In my trimmer, I am connecting the tick marks, but I am leaving the header intact so that I can rotate it and I still have the tick marks on the side. And that lets me perfectly cut apart our emergency sentiments. So these are the exact same size as every other emergency kit, right? Here they are. There's a die in the set that will cut them out as well if that's a little easier for you. But if you use the tick marks, you can get every single one of these cut out and not waste any of them. To add this to my card, I'm going to use removable adhesive. For me, emergency cards are really all about making sure I can switch the sentiment if I need to once I know who I'm giving it to. But that is our finished card, and it's got this great pop-up feature. Friends, I hope you like that. I hope you're inspired. Be sure to hop along. I will have a link to the next stop on the hop at the top, and I will see you next time.